Welcome in again here to In the Paint. I'm Ari Bluestein, the CEO of SFBN, filling in tonight for Nikki Jones on our final episode of In the Paint here in 2018 as we recap all 6 girls basketball championship games that happened in Hershey earlier this week. Stay tuned for our final episode of In the Paint. Welcome in again here to In the Paint. I'm Ari Bluestein, and I'm filling in for Nikki Jones tonight, who could not be here. Again, the change in schedule in the PIAA because of the winter snowstorm prevented her from being here. We do have Joe Fite in studio, one of our analysts here with us. Joe, thanks for joining me here.
My pleasure, as always.
And as you can see, it's just the two of us here in studio. Mike McDonald could not make it to the studio tonight, but he is joining us remotely. Mike McDonald, can you hear us?
I can hear you, Ari. Excited
awesome,
to be here.
And we're going to get to Mike in just a moment as we again have brought him in remotely. And let's get right into it, Joe. We're going to start here with 1A and Jenkintown, which is a District 1 school, a small school. They've been, pretty good over the course of their history. As you see the bracket on your screen right now, they get a thrilling win over Juniata Valley, 51-46. How about the Lady Drakes with the state title?
I think Jenkintown is the feel-good story of the tournament. Jenkintown, at one time, I'm not sure if it's still true, was the second smallest school in the state of Pennsylvania playing sports. So for them to win a state championship, Jim Romano's been there forever. He does a great job, and to see him and the girls win a championship is just awesome for them. And
we'll bring in here Mike McDonald to get his thoughts. Mike, Jenkintown with the win here, coming from behind, a great feel-good story for a very small school that's not too far from your squad, Archbishop Wood. How about the Lady Drakes winning the state title?
It's exciting. Anytime you see a small school like that that gets it done, they challenged themselves this year. They felt that they had a special chance, I think, from the start of the year, and then they got the job done in an emphatic fashion with a come-behind win with an exciting, 3 to tie the game late in the game by Jenny Kremp. It was just outstanding to see them. They came back to Jenkintown with a parade, a welcoming from the entire community, fire trucks, police cars. It's people standing on the streets waiting for them to arrive back home after the win. So it was a very exciting time in Jenkintown. I understand the establishments were packed that night as well. So good for businesses in the community as well.
Yeah, it's great for Jenkintown. And you take a look at their path to get here, Joe. They knock off the District 3 champ Lebanon Catholic, a very good team. They win by 4 in the semifinals, which was played at Downingtown West High School on March 24th. And again, that was a game that was postponed because of the weather. And then they beat Juniata Valley in the afternoon game, the 12 o'clock game to kick things off on Tuesday, winning that in thrilling fashion. And, what else can you say about Jenkintown?
Well, Juniata Valley gave them all they could handle.
Yes.
And it was actually, Jen Kremp hit a 3-pointer, I believe, to send it to overtime.
Yeah, Mike just said that. Yep.
And we've talked about Jenkintown's defense all year, and Jenkintown had 14 steals in the game. Mia Kolb had 6 of those by herself, and also scored the beginning of overtime to get them started. And but Jenny Kremp at the free throw line, she was 12 for 15 from the free throw line in the game. And, to be in that kind of a clutch situation where the championship is coming down to you, and she just didn't miss.
Yeah, congratulations to Jenkintown. What a great win for the Lady Drakes. Let's take a look at how Joe and Mike did on the predictions for the 1A bracket. We're going to bring that up on your screen in just a moment. And Joe getting the better of Mike here in this bracket, 18-16. Joe has 18 victories, Mike with 16 victories. And a lot of times these small schools are just tough to predict, and you would have loved, we're from the southeastern Pennsylvania area, would have loved to see Jenkintown win it, and they did, but I don't know, who did you actually have winning your bracket there, Joe?
Lebanon Catholic.
Okay, which wasn't a bad pick. Jenkintown came up with the upset there. Mike McDonald, who did you see actually winning this bracket as we come back to you remotely?
I had Jenkintown all the way. They proved me right. Definitely had Jenkintown for the win. excited for the girls. I actually know some of their players, so I had to go with them. I thought they might have the chance with some of their freshmen stepping in to build on what they had last year. And they did a great job, and they proved me right. They had me worried when they were down 9 with 3 minutes left, but they pulled through. They stepped up the defense, and they got the W.
Good stuff. So even though Joe has more predictions right in 1A, Mike gets the champion correct. So congratulations again to Jenkintown and the Lady Drakes for winning the state title. Moving on to 2A, and this was another bracket that I felt was fairly unpredictable as you see it right now. West Catholic, what a run for them. They beat Penns Manor in overtime in the semis to get to this point, but it was Bellwood Antis and their stud player, Allie Campbell. And I'm going to go to Mike McDonald on this one first because he was at the game. This kicked off championship week, Monday afternoon at 12 o'clock. Thrilling game. Bellwood Antis wins by 3. Mike, what were your thoughts watching this game?
It was a lot of fun watching the game. West Catholic has been exciting all year. Destiny McCall, the freshman for them, was outstanding. She attacked the basket. She has the ability to really go 1-on-2 sometimes and step through it and get shots up. They had a couple close ones that didn't fall that they'd like to have back, I'm sure. Tamia Robinson was also outstanding for West Catholic, but Allie Campbell was just too much for them. She had 32 out of 45 points. I think if West Catholic gets the chance for a rematch, which they might, being Allie Campbell's only a sophomore and West Catholic is so young, they might want to do more to take away her open looks and make other kids on Bellwood Antis beat them. So it was a great back-and-forth game, a close game. It's everything you want in a championship. West Catholic came up a little bit short, and Allie Campbell was a major reason for that. A sophomore with 27 Division I offers, she really showed why in that game.
Yeah, and Allie Campbell, a top 20 national prospect on ESPN, and yes, 27 Division I offers, I believe, including South Carolina.
Wow.
But, I mean, you take a look at that game, and Allie Campbell just powered her team, Bellwood Antis, to the state title. But, what again, a great effort from the Lady Birds of West Catholic.
Absolutely. Tamia Robinson, Destiny McFall, each had 12 points. Unfortunately, West Catholic was only 18 for 56 from the field. That's a lot of missed shots, and to lose by 3 points and to be in the game after shooting that coldly, is a tribute to them. But Allie Campbell, 24 points in the second half of her 34, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks. Bellwood Antis was just a little bit too much for West Catholic.
Yeah, and I think that shows you District 6 and their influence here at the 2A level. They were all over the map here. I mean, you had Blairsville and Bellwood Antis going at it in the semifinals. They were the 2nd and 3rd seed out of District 6. West Catholic needed overtime to beat Penns Manor, who was the 4th seed out of District 6, and the champion from District 6, which the school is eluding me. Oh, Bishop McCourt. Bishop McCourt went down to Chartiers Houston out of District 7. So shout out to District 6 for really great representation here in 2A. We're going to take a look at the predictions. I actually want to correct myself on 1A. Mike got the champion correct in Jenkintown, and he actually had the edge over you, Joe. It was 23-19. Mike, that's my fault. I was looking at the wrong classification. We're going to punch up 2A now. Mike, again with the advantage here. 18-14. I think you're starting to see a trend here. And who did you have for your 2A champion here, Joe?
I had Vincentian winning the whole thing, who lost to Blairsville in the second round.
Oh, wow. So there you go. There you go. Mike McDonald, who did you have in this bracket?
I believe I went West Catholic in that bracket. They just came up a few points shy, but I believe I went.
We better
West
check
Catholic.
that.
So yeah, he went. So Mike, obviously with a homer theme here going on, but Mike does have the 18-14 advantage, and obviously having West Catholic win it, they went to the championship game. So congratulations to Bellwood Antis, and a great showing by District 6 in this classification, and the Lady Birds of West Catholic. Great job on the run as well. We're going to take a quick time out here on In the Paint, but a few more brackets to get through here in our final episode of 2018. Stay tuned here for more on In the Paint.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
Welcome back here to In the Paint. I'm Ari Bluestein, the CEO of SFBN, filling in for Nikki Jones tonight. Joe Fite to my right, and Mike McDonald joining us remotely, not in studio today, for our final episode of In the Paint. We just went over 1A and 2A, so we're going to get right into 3A. And the champion, the Neumann-Goretti Saints, the number 2 seed out of District 12. The bracket is up right now. They had a win over Dunmore in the semifinals, 66-42. Bishop Canavan defeated East Allegheny in a battle of District 7 squads in the semis, and then Neumann-Goretti beats Bishop Canavan 63-46. Joe, I'll get your thoughts here on this one. Not a huge surprise. Neumann-Goretti with a ton of talent. They lost in the PCL championship to Cardinal O'Hara, lost in the city championship to Imhotep Charter, but of course they win when it counts here at the state level.
Well, Andrea Peterson is 4 for 4 as a coach in state championships. That's unbelievable. For somebody to win 4 state championships in their first 4 years as a head coach, I don't know if it's ever been done. And they pretty much had their way with Bishop Canavan. Jabria Ingram, 9 points, 10 steals. They just really had a good game. They were able to overcome Samaya Price, who scored 31 points for Bishop Canavan, including her 1,000th point in the third quarter.
Oh wow!
In fact, she scored 24 straight points for them in that game, and they were able to overcome that.
That is something. Yeah, and Neumann-Goretti Saints with the title, and we'll bring in Mike McDonald now. And obviously, Mike McDonald is the head coach of Archbishop Wood, knows the Neumann-Goretti Saints very well as members of the Philadelphia Catholic League. Mike, any surprise here that Neumann-Goretti won the state championship?
Not a surprise. It wasn't my pick. I tried to go with more of an upset pick, but it wasn't a surprise, no. In the 3A classification, they're always going to be one of the strongest teams. Jabria Ingram's just been outstanding. She's had an unbelievable career the last 4 years, and that didn't change in the championship game. The girl Price on the other team was unbelievable. It was just one of the best individual performances I've ever seen. I think the only thing Bishop Canavan started to do, they started to go a little bit one-on-one too often, and it was leading to tougher shots. And Goretti was then getting open looks down the other way. And in transition, Tatiana Jones started to really run the floor and get open layups. And Diamond Johnson had like 3 or 4 steals, I think, for layups late in the game. So Neumann-Goretti just became too much for Canavan. But Price had an outstanding individual performance. First time I've ever seen her play for Canavan. She was really, really good.
And Mike, who did you have? I know you said you went with an upset pick. Who did you have winning the 3A bracket?
I had St. Basil's.
Oh, and I believe Joe Fite also had St. Basil.
Yeah.
I mean, St. Basil, the District 1 champ, certainly, not a shot in the dark there. They ended up losing to Neumann-Goretti in the quarterfinals. Let's punch up our final predictions here for the 3A level. And our man Joe Fite actually got the better of Mike McDonald here in 3A. But both of you guys did pretty well. Joe had 22 correct, and Mike had 20 correct, so fairly even there. Neumann-Goretti, they win the game. I actually was on the call for their semifinal win over Dunmore, and as soon as Diamond Johnson came into the game, who joined the program late, she got showered with boos from the Dunmore student section, and I know that there has been a change now. Should we call this the Diamond Johnson rule? I mean, it's a new transfer rule. I know you wanted to comment on it.
Yeah, I think she probably sparked this, but she came in from Virginia at the end of the regular season for the Catholic League, and they were supposed to start this new rule in July. They moved it up till April 1st, which is this coming week. And there's 2 aspects to this rule. One is a 21-day sit-out rule. So if you transfer into a new school, you have to sit for the first 21 days. The other one that would have probably affected Newman Goretti is that if a player was eligible for 50% of their games where they were coming from, then they could not play at the school they were going to.
Okay. So that would have changed Diamond Johnson. She wouldn't have been able to play.
Right.
So,
but there was a big firestorm all over the state. There was one gentleman in Williamsport that raised a big ruckus, and Dr. Lombardi at PIAA, doesn't like attention to be brought to the PIAA, and kind of pushed back against that. But same thing with the headwear rule. That occurred during the public league playoffs with Mastery Charter North. So that rule may also change, because there was such an outcry over that.
Yeah, and Mike, I'll bring you in here too as well, because you're at an open enrollment school and Catholic League school. What are your thoughts here on what went down and the new transfer rule? I would love to hear your thoughts as a coach in the league.
The transfer rule makes sense. My opinion would be if somebody transfers in mid-season, they just can't play that year. I don't know why there's a day thing that comes into it, but it makes sense to put in a rule. It just shouldn't really happen. Newman Goretti didn't do anything against the rules, so there's nothing really to argue from that standpoint. Now that they will have a rule, obviously it would affect it, but I just think if you transfer mid-season, you shouldn't play for the year. I don't think there should be a number of days. The only time I think you could look into it is if it's September, October, early in the school year. A kid goes to the school, they just figure out it's not a right fit for them and they want to go somewhere else. That's early in the year they make that decision. That's typically more of a school thing. But again, that would come into play with football, so they have to have some kind of standard. I don't know. I let PIAA make the rules. I just abide by them and then coach the games.
There is a provision for hardship. If a kid maybe they have to move north, during late part of the season because maybe a parent died or something like that, some kind of hardship.
Right.
There is a provision for a district committee to look at that and to grant a waiver because of hardship.
Okay. So we'll see how that develops, and obviously there's always some things going on with the PIAA. There's a lot going on. We mentioned it on our boys show on 3 in the Key, the separation of public and non-public, but that's a discussion that can be a whole hour show, in its own. Let's move on to 4A here as we move along here on our final show of In the Paint. Lancaster Catholic completes a perfect season, 32-0. You can see the bracket on your screen. They defeated Bonner Prendergast out of District 12 in the semifinals, 66-58. Then on the other side, Berks Catholic, number 2 seed out of District 3. The Saints defeat Cardinal Wuerl out of the District 7. And then Lancaster Catholic with the win over Berks Catholic in a District 3 matchup. And, Lancaster defeated Berks earlier in the year. This game was close early on, but Lancaster ended up pulling away in the end. And, a great job by Lancaster Catholic for a perfect season.
Well, the beginning, the middle, and the end of Lancaster Catholic is Kiki Jefferson. Had another tremendous game, 24 points, 15 rebounds. So she's really tough to combat against. And, at one point in the fourth quarter, Lancaster Catholic had an 18-point lead. So there really wasn't much doubt about it who was going to win that game.
Yeah, and Mike, I know Lancaster Catholic is a team that you're somewhat familiar with. I know you didn't. This is one of the games you did not get a chance to see, but just to pull off a perfect season like that is just such a great accomplishment. That comment on what Lancaster Catholic did in the 4A level.
That's phenomenal to go undefeated. I didn't follow them that closely, but I do know they had a big win over Upper Dublin. I saw them play them in the Scholastic Play-by-Play Classic, I believe, over at Jefferson University. Kiki Jefferson is just a phenomenal talent. Great size, great athleticism, can play on the perimeter, can play in the post, very unselfish, and yet can score the basketball almost at will. She's just an outstanding player, and she's got a great surrounding cast. I know Lauren. I think it's Mills was a 1,000-point scorer as well for them. So she's just a phenomenal talent. Lauren Willis does a lot of other great things for them, and a surrounding cast that really, to go 32-0 is unbelievable. Especially playing, they're not playing completely cupcake schedules either.
And we'll take a look at the predictions in a moment here. But Joe, who did you have winning this whole thing?
I had Bethlehem Catholic, so I had the Catholic part right.
Yeah, Bethlehem Catholic lost to Bonner Prendy, and a little bit of a mini upset there. Bonner Prendy out of District 12, pulling off a couple upsets. Mike, who did you have as your champion in 4A?
I think I'm not sure if I picked Bonner Prendy or Villa Maria from Erie. Either way, I think I got it wrong. I think I had Villa Maria over Bonner Prendy in the championship, but Villa Maria from Erie, I think, went down a little bit earlier to someone else, maybe North.
Yeah, Villa Maria lost in the quarters to Cardinal Wuerl, who went down to Berks Catholic in the semifinals. Let's take a look at our final prediction totals for 4A, and even though both Mike and Joe did not get the champion correct, Mike with 22 wins and Joe with 21 wins, so still not bad there. Mike pulling it out by the skin of his teeth. So we're through the first 4 brackets here in girls basketball in the state of Pennsylvania, and when we return for our final segment, we will look at the biggest schools in the state, 5A and 6A. That's next here on In the Paint.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've spent 3 days with the most insane program, okay, I have witnessed in my 17 years career. It excites me, the presence of point blank period, of Coach Dooley, of Coach Fowler, of the people that he works out with, that he trains with, okay? It's exciting. And you have had the luxury of spending 3 awesome days with these people. I watched Coach Fowler play. Mr. Coach, you watch Coach Fowler play? He is one of the most annoying basketball players you will ever see in your life. Okay? Because exactly what he trains, exactly what he preaches to you, he does at all times. This is real habit. This is not a gimmick. This is real basketball. Real basketball. Something that he has found success with. He has spread the word.
Welcome back here to In the Paint. I'm Ari Bluestein, the CEO of SFBN, filling in for Nikki Jones on our final episode of In the Paint. I'm joined in studio by Joe Fite, and we have Mike McDonald, head coach of Archbishop Wood, joining us remotely, and we're getting to the 5A Girls Basketball Championship bracket, and not sure if Mike wants to really discuss this one. Unfortunately, you can see the bracket on your screen right now. Archbishop Wood going down to the Mars Fighting Planets in the championship game, a close game, 36-33. Wood had beat Southern Lehigh in the semis on Saturday at Saturton High School, and Mars knocked off another Philadelphia Catholic League opponent in Archbishop Carroll, 52-39, out at State College High School in the semis, and then Mars gets the win. So I guess we have to go to Mike first to talk about this game. Mike, I'm sure you don't want to talk about it, but what were your thoughts here on this unfortunate championship loss for your Lady Vikings?
Yeah, it's not something I'm really ready to talk too much about. I had to talk about it a lot after the game last night. It's one that will sting. They're a very, very good team, and they will be for years to come. Taj Johnson, very good guard going to Bucknell. Wesleyan, I think her last name is number 4 for them. A very, very good player. And Bridget Archidiakono for us was able to kind of contain her for most of the game until she fouled out. We left her with 4 points. It was her sophomore player, number 24. I'm sorry, I don't have her name. I think it's Pirelli, or 33 rather, not 20, but 33.
Bella Palea.
14. We let her loose. She was able to get layups and fouls and make foul shots. But it was really our offense. It's going to sting because we feel like we left a lot out there. We were 11 for 43 from the field. We were 4 for 16 from 2 in the first half and 7 for 28 total. So we just couldn't put the ball in the basket. There were many times where layups went into the net, I swear, and bounced out. And it's still, we've won games like that before. And, down the stretch, it just felt like a game where we would close it out. We went up 5, late in the game, 3.5, 4 minutes, I believe. And that's a game where we typically just close the game out. We make them changes, we get layups, and we didn't finish the layups. And then they were able to hit a couple big shots. Johnson hit a 3 to take the lead, and we gave her a layup going to the basket. We gave the sophomore a layup going to the basket, late to go up, let them go up 3. After that, we did get a big shot out of Lindsey Tretter to tie the game, and then we had a final possession, and it was just it was just a lackadaisical play on us, or just a great defensive play on them to get the turnover. It's one where I wish I had a timeout. We tried to run the clock out a little bit when there was about 39 seconds left. We called a timeout. The plan was to run our Princeton offense until it got down to about 15. Unless we got a quick layup out of it, we were going to run it down to about 15 and then run a set. I probably should have called a timeout instead of just running the set right on the fly. We tried to run it on the fly. We tried to get it back to Caitlin Oriole to set it up, and Taj Johnson just made an incredible defensive play, took it down and drew the foul in the basket down the other end. It's really a heartbreaking way to lose the game. But again, we didn't lose to a team that wasn't good. They're a very good team, very talented, but very well coached. They were more than just two players. They were a complete team. They did very well defensively. Their coach's strategy against us was pretty good. They did a great job. It was a defensive battle for most of the time, and they just made more shots down the stretch.
Yeah, and you could tell by Mike McDonald, his voice here, that it was a tough loss for them. And this was not a cakewalk for Archbishop Wood to get here. They had to beat the District 1 champ Westchester Henderson, who had been playing phenomenal basketball, and I know that they were, I believe, your champion.
That's correct.
In this, and that was a tough game in itself to win that 140-35, and then Wood has to play Mars, who is a very good team. District 7 was very strong at the 5A level this year. And what were your thoughts, Joe, on this game?
Well, first of all, I thought when Laurel Waselson fouled out, I thought, this is really going to help Wood win the whole thing. And to their credit, Mars hung in there and got some key baskets. Bella Palea for them came up with some key points down the stretch. But then Wood had the ball, and they're running clock, and I'm thinking everything's going the way it should go. And a last second shot here, we're gonna Wood's going to win the game. And Ty Johnson. My heart just went out to everybody when she made that steal and gathered the ball in and went in for a layup with 4.2 seconds left. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, but it's a great win for Mars. And as Coach McDonald just mentioned, they're a good team, and they're going to be a good team for years to come. They beat Gateway, the District 7 champ, in the quarters, and then knocked off Archbishop Carroll, another very good team from the PCL. So they earned it. They certainly earned it. We're going to look at the predictions right now and where you guys fell. And even though his squad did not win the championship, Mike gets the better end of the predictions here. 20 wins for Mike, 19 for Mr. Joe Fite. So, it's a consolation prize for Mike there. He gets the win there in the 5A bracket. All right, so moving on here to the 6A. And this was really District 1 dominant, which is your wheelhouse here, Joe. Upper Dublin gets the 41-39 win. You can see the bracket on your screen right now over CB South, the 2 seed. And Upper Dublin had to beat Souderton in a super slow down game, wins 26-25 over the 1 seed out of District 1. But Upper Dublin, they are the 9 seed out of District 1, and you would think, wow, that's just a super upset. But you look at Upper Dublin's record, they only lost 5 games all year. And 2 of them were to Plymouth Whitemarsh, or maybe even 3 of them were to Plymouth Whitemarsh. I'm not. Oh no, they lost to CR North in the District 1. But Upper Dublin, what a run for the Cardinals to their state title.
Another team that we've been talking about all year that plays great defense, and they gave up 39 points to Central Buck South. Another great defensive effort. That 6'3" Jackie Vargas in the middle. She's a factor in there. She just, causes players to redirect their shots. She ended up with 8 points, but, I'm not sure how many blocks she had, but she's just, tough in the middle. And Jess Poland, it was the coming out season for Jess Poland. 17 points as a freshman in the championship game. And, she's just, I think there was only 2 seniors, I think, on that team. So Upper Dublin could very well be back in the same spot next year.
Yeah, again, District 1 dominance here. You look at the quarterfinals, Souderton to Chamonix, Upper Dublin, Abington, CB South, 5 of the 8 quarterfinalists here at the 6A level, all from District 1. The other 3 were North Allegheny and Bethel Park from District 7, and then William Allen in kind of a little upset. They knocked off Central Dauphin. They advanced. They were the 4 seed out of District 11. We do have some video highlights, which we're going to get to. Real quick, I wanted to get Mike McDonald's comments on this game because he was there on Tuesday night at the Giant Center. Mike, your thoughts on this game and the Upper Dublin win over CB South in the 6A championship?
Yeah, Joe said it all. I think Vargas's defense was a major impact, whether she was blocking the shots or just, causing the CB South players to kind of avoid there. I know that Alexa Brody, who's a very, very, tough offensive player, had a tough time getting in the basket and finishing. She would get in there pretty well, but she had a tough time finishing that night. And from the outside, she did have 4 threes. But underneath the basket, she struggled to get to finish, and I think Vargas is a major reason for that, and Upper Dublin's defense was a major reason for that. Jess Poland, as a freshman, was just phenomenal, making shots, getting the basket, and making foul shots again to seal the victory. But I think it just came down to Upper Dublin, for the entire run. It was just a team. When I watched, I think I saw them 3 or 4 times in states. They just played as a team. They didn't seem to matter who shot the ball, or nobody was trying to force anything fancy. They just tried to move the ball and get an open shot or an open look. It wasn't a very skilled game for them. It was just more of a team passing the ball around, working the ball around, getting it inside a little bit, kicking it out to shooters when they were open, and knocking shots down. It was just. They were great. They were great. Morgan Funston just does an unbelievable job with his talent. And again, that's another team so young. I would expect them to be good again. They're going to have to replace 2 starting seniors. But Cara Grebe coming off the bench as a sophomore, she's pretty good. And I've seen Megan. I think her last name is Beal or Megan. Megan. She's got red hair. She's a pretty good kid on Upper Dublin as well, can handle the ball. So they'll have other kids ready to step up. But that other 3 core there and Sarah Escu on the bench coming in as well. They're all young. They're all returning. So I'd expect to see Upper Dublin with the great coaching job of Morgan Funston to be a strong showing next year as well.
We did have our own Rosie Langelo on the scene at the Giant Center at Hershey, and here is her game report along with some highlights from the Upper Dublin win over CB South in the 6A Girls Basketball Championship game.
All right, we're starting in the second quarter here. Jackie Vargas for Upper Dublin now dribbling with the ball. She'll spin and hit the deuce. Upper Dublin's Vargas again with the ball, another spin move, and she hooks it in. And Vargas sees the run by Cara Grebe, and Alex Brody from Central Bucks takes a charge there. At the end of the first quarter, Jess Poland pops out for a pass from Maggie Weglos. Poland then sinks a 3 to tie it at the half, 20-20. Now jumping to the fourth quarter, Dana Balassa finds Nicole Kaiser, who gets the deuce there. With 30 seconds to go, Central Bucks is down by 2, trying to find that basket, but it just doesn't go in. And in the last 3 seconds, Brody from Bucks tries to sink it in for a long 3, but it just doesn't connect. The PIAA Class 6A champion is crowned. Upper Dublin wins it 41-39.
Thank you very much again, Rosie Langelo, for that report and those highlights. Obviously, Upper Dublin super excited for winning their first state championship. So congratulations to the Lady Cardinals there of Upper Dublin knocking off CB South. So let's now take a look at our predictions for 6A, and we'll reveal our final predictions for the brackets. You can see it up on your screen. Joe gets the better of Mike here in this one. 18 wins for Joe, 16 for Mike. But all in all, Mike McDonald with the victory here in this, our little version of bracketology here on In the Paint. Mike with 119 and Joe with 113 out of a possible 186 games predicted. Still very respectable for you, Joe, but Mike gets the win there. And, Mike, I'll send it to you here for your final thoughts on not only winning the bracket, but your final thoughts here to put a bow on this girls' basketball season here in 2017-2018.
It was a great season for me, not only as a coach, but as a fan of girls basketball. There's so many teams that really stepped up throughout the year, especially in states. Upper Dublin, a big one. Jenkintown, a big one. It was a lot of fun for me, just knowing players and coaches on those teams, watching them do a good job down the stretch, and seeing them win state titles was Well, it's rewarding for me. Obviously, coaching at Archbishop Wood has been very rewarding for me and watching my team grow as well. But I thought girls basketball across the state of Pennsylvania had a really good year. There was upsets. There was different teams stepping up in different situations. So it was a lot of fun. What I think PIAA needs to do next, probably not the first thing on the radar, but I'd like to see a tournament of champions at the end of the year where whoever wins these classifications play each other for an overall champion. It's something that happens in New Jersey. I'm sure it happens in other states as well, but it happens in New Jersey. I think it should happen here. I think it would be very, very good for girls basketball in the state of Pennsylvania. But it was a fun year doing this show too.
I'm sure that it's not a bad idea. I'm sure there might be some other things on the list for the PIAA. We talked about the transfer rule, and there's other things being discussed with the competition committee. But Joe, I'll give the floor to you. Final thoughts on this 2017-2018 girls basketball season.
Well, I'll echo what Mike said. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of good basketball in the state of Pennsylvania, and hats off to the Philadelphia Catholic League. They really represented themselves well. I just it was a pleasure working with Mike, and I wish his outcome would have been more positive last night, but he's a good coach, and I'm sure he'll be back there again, and let's put a bow on this, and it was a great year.
Yes, it really was, and it's great for me to be a part of this here on the final show. And we'll send one final sign-off so Mike can get to his business, who's joining us remotely. Mike, thank you for coming on tonight, joining us remotely, and thank you for being a part of the show, even despite coaching during the season. So, Mike, thanks so much for being a part of In the Paint.
It was my pleasure, and thank you, Joe. The feeling is mutual. Thank you, Ari, and thank you, Julian, behind the scenes. It was a real pleasure doing this. Thank you to the Sports Fan Base Network for not just bringing me on the show, but for everything you do for the game of basketball, high school sports. It's just really outstanding, and as coaches, we definitely appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mike. You have a great night, and want to give a shout-out to Nikki Jones, who could not be here tonight, who's done a great job hosting this show all year, and Mike, give a shout-out to Julian. I'll say thank you to Julian as well, who's done a great job with directing all of our shows here on SFBN. And with this last show, that wraps up our winter schedule. But again, a reminder, go to our website. We're going to have some articles up there. You'll have Jack Cap's photos from the 6A Boys Championship up there, thesfbn.com, thesfbn.com. Make sure you go to our website. Also, this show and all of our other shows will be available on iTunes, so make sure you check out our podcast. If you're just driving in the car or chilling at work, make sure you check it out on iTunes and give us that 5-star rating. And also check out our website for our spring schedule. We may have a couple of spring sports shows coming up as well. So for Nikki Jones, who can't be here tonight, for Joe Fite, I'm Ari Bluestein, and again, our director, Julian Bellman. Thank you for watching this season of In the Paint here on the Sports Fan Base Network. Have a great night.